Sorry, my knee is itching. I got like a mosquito bite. It's bad. Hey guys, it's Ashley. Welcome back to my channel, and for those of you that are new, welcome. Thank you so much for stopping by. Today I'm going to be getting into the new Beautyblender Bounce Liquid Whip Long Wear Foundation. It's like a mouthful of a title. I'm going to be doing a review and demo on the product itself. Up front, I'm going to tell you right off the bat, my biggest pet peeves with the product is that it wasn't an inclusive launch. And when I say an inclusive launch, I mean there weren't enough shades for everyone. But if you are interested in hearing my thoughts about the product and seeing how I achieved this, I guess, flawless base, then keep on watching. Alright guys, so we're going to jump right in. We're going to get started. This is the actual packaging itself from Beautyblender. I requested the shade 4.20. Partly because I am super tan now and I needed to make sure that I had something that was going to be as close as a match as possible. So this is what the actual packaging looks like. Alright, and on the back we have some information. So this is the Bounce Liquid Whip Long Wear Foundation. That is a mouthful. You get 1.0 or 1 floor ounce, 30 milliliters of product. I did check the actual some of the actual other foundations and products that I do use, and the 1 ounce is pretty standard amongst the foundations, and this foundation I believe is somewhere between $38 and $40, and a lot of the foundations that I use are in between that range as well, so anywhere from about $30 to maybe $45 or so. So it does fall within a, I guess you could say, like, higher end foundation. This weightless buildable whipped liquid can be layered from medium to maximum coverage, my favorite, to address both tone and texture. Never dull or greasy. Skin that gets pro artist velveteen finish that looks picture perfect in real life and on screen. So it's a full coverage velveteen finish, moisture boosting, hyaluronic acid, antioxidant rich white birch extract foundation. Okay, so you get the actual foundation in this packaging as well as one beauty blender that is supposed to be the match for this specific shade. So I'm gonna open it up, and boxes like this kill me because they're like really packed tight together for the most part. So this is what the actual packaging looks like once you open it. Maybe I should hold it back here so you can, there we go. So we have the Beauty Blender, which is supposed to be the match for 4.20. This is the actual foundation itself. So I'm just gonna pop the foundation out. I'm not gonna use the Beauty Blender because I actually have a Beauty Blender that I'm gonna use right now, and Beauty Blenders are pretty pricey, so we're gonna hold on to this one for a little bit longer. Now we have the actual foundation itself. Now, the things that I do like about this foundation are the actual, like, I don't know what to call it, but I guess like reservoir, or do they call it that? I feel like they call it that. Yeah. So the actual reservoir on the actual product, or I guess like you can mix foundations and things like that on top of these. I don't know what the word for that would be, but I like that it has this, and it actually is the shape of a beauty blender, so it fits right into that space there. I do like the sort of like velveteen kind of like matte finish on the bottom, which also lets you know the kind of foundation finish it's going to be. So we have the shade number on the bottom of the product, which is pretty standard as well. And I do like that this has a locking mechanism, so you can lock it when you are putting the product in your bag so that you don't get foundation everywhere. So you pretty much just switch it on and off depending on what you are doing. Lock it, of course, so that you keep your foundation to yourself. And remember to, of course, unlock when it's time to use your actual foundation. So I do have an actual beauty blender here. I dampened it. I'm going to dampen it a little more with some Fix Plus just to make sure that it's really ready to go. Now I'm just going to unlock my foundation, and I'm just going to pump it out onto the reservoir. I normally go into my foundation, if you do follow me, you do know that I normally like to use a really dense brush. However, for this demo and review, I'm just going to go in with the Beauty Blender and just pray for the best for the most part. So I'm just going to pump it out onto the reservoir. So you get a little bit of product, and for me, this is about maybe 1.5 pumps of something that I normally would use. So I'm just gonna pump out two more pumps. So I pumped out what I think is gonna be a good amount of foundation for me to use. I'm gonna set that to the side, and the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna prep my skin using two of my favorite primers that I normally use. So I'm going to use a little bit of the Maybelline Master Prime and a little bit of the Fenty Beauty as well, and then we'll be right back. Alright guys, so my skin is prepped, primed, and ready to go. So now I'm just going to take my Beauty Blender and I'm going to dip it into the reservoir here and just pick up some product, and then I'm just going to spot it around my face before I begin blending it out. The one thing that I feel like when you go right in with a beauty blender, I kind of feel like it sucks up a majority of the product. You can see like a big spot right there. So I'm just going to take a little more foundation because I feel like in order for me to get the kind of coverage I like, I'm going to need more product. So now I'm just going to start blending that out. Alright, I still feel like I need a little bit of product, so I'm just going to squeeze out a little more. Just go back in with this end and finish up. One thing that I do like about the foundation so far is that it doesn't feel heavy at all. Yeah, it doesn't feel really heavy or cakey. I actually got like a ginormous mosquito bite over here somewhere. So we're pretty good in that department. I do like the way that it feels so far on the skin. It does feel lightweight. It doesn't feel heavy at all, no, not cakey or anything like that. I feel like this is a pretty good match. I believe it does have to oxidize just a little bit. We'll see if anything happens shortly. But of course, I'm going to highlight and bronze up my face as I normally would. And then we will be back to see what the progress is with the foundation. Alright guys, so my makeup is now complete. Pros quickly about the foundation. I love the finish of it so far. I love the reservoir aspect. Instead of me actually putting foundation on the back of my hand, I would be able to place it in this and just dip in my beauty blender and go from there. I like the fact that it does have this locking mechanism so you don't get foundation all over your bags if you do put it in a bag while traveling. That's perfect as well. And you pretty much get the same amount of foundation that you normally would get in any other higher end foundation for around the same price point. So I think that's pretty good. Cons, for the most part, I have one big con, and that is this launch was supposed to be inclusive. However, the fact that with this launch there were 32 foundations launched and about 16 to 20 or more are for fair complexion women, leaving, what is that, like somewhere between like 5 and 7, maybe 5 to 8 of foundations that are supposed to be for women of color, and 2 of those foundations are for women of darker skin tones. In terms of the word inclusive, I feel like a lot of brands think the word inclusive means a lot of. However, it's supposed to be something for everybody. So if there was going to be an inclusive launch with this, there should have been fair, medium, dark, and then like deep dark or something like that. There should have been some way that, you know, there would have been a range of foundations for everyone so that everyone could pretty much kind of enjoy the launch itself. For there to be about 16 plus shades of foundation for really fair skinned women, fair and medium, and there to be about 7 or less for women of color, it pretty much sucks. I'm a big fan of Beauty Blender and I was really excited for the launch. However, after seeing the range of foundation, it was pretty much like, almost like, what are we supposed to do with that? So I definitely would have liked to see a more inclusive launch and things like that, more foundations for women of color. Yes, I am on the lighter end of the spectrum, but I have friends, I have supporters that are women of darker complexions, and it would have been nice to see something that would work for them as well. That's pretty much like the only con I do have. I do have to conduct a wear test just so that you all get a thorough review of the actual product itself.
5 hours later.
Alright guys, so it's actually about I want to say anywhere from like 5 to 6.5 hours later. It doesn't look too bad. However, I do have like normal creasing, like, and like my laugh lines, which is pretty standard, but my skin also looks dewy now as well, which this is supposed to be like a velveteen matte finish, but like I said, it does look a little dewy outside of my highlighter. So yeah, that's pretty much my, I guess, final take on this foundation. Like, it doesn't look too bad, but it's a lot dewier than I would have wanted it to be. That's pretty much it. I really hope that you all enjoyed this review demo tutorial. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.